And I remember sitting on that balcony. I get emotional just thinking about it and just feeling his love for me. Like, you're not alone. I'm with you. And I look at my life and all the things that have happened, I just always remember that. I'm not alone, and he's with me always.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mission Stories. Today in the studio, I'm joined by Michelle. Welcome.
Yes. Hello, thanks for having me.
I met Michelle a few years ago doing some auditions, I believe. She's a local actress, very talented, and recently she made an Instagram post kind of talking about her mission in Ukraine. And so I messaged her and asked if she would be willing to come on the podcast and talk about it a little bit more. And yeah, so we're here.
Yeah.
I don't know much about your experience as a missionary. There's so much about you that I still don't know. And so if you just want to, for me and for the viewers, just kind of give a background of your upbringing and why you chose to serve a mission.
Okay, I mean, we could be here all day for that.
Yeah, no.
I will keep it short and concise.
No, you're good.
I was born here in Utah, but then I moved to Saudi Arabia when I was 4. So kind of random.
No way. What for?
My dad's job as a dentist, randomly.
Cool.
But my mom is from Thailand, and so my parents loved it because Saudi Arabia is closer to Thailand than the United States, and so we would spend our summer in Thailand. And then when I was 11 years old, we moved back here to Utah.
Okay.
And I loved being here. I'd never lived in America really before. But I did miss the diversity that I had when I was in Saudi Arabia. So I always was wanting to travel and everything like that. And so I went to the University of Utah, and right before my junior year, I did a study abroad and lived in Spain. Just had that like addiction to travel.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I had ever been abroad by myself, like without my parents. And I was addicted and I was excited. Yeah. I was like, I love this, just meeting new people, living new places, that sort of thing. And then in 2006, which is crazy now that this is 20 years and it's aging me. In my head, I'm still this age. I was graduating from the University of Utah, and the guy that I was dating, we were going to get married right after I graduated. He broke up with me. And I had kind of put aside my grad school plans or anything that I had because I thought I was getting married. And then all of a sudden, a couple months before graduation, everything switches. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Yikes. And I had just the feeling, and back then, girls could go when they were 21. So a lot older than now.
Yeah.
And I had prayed about it when I was 21 and just got the answer no, like it's not time, but not necessarily no, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But then I met that guy and we dated and it didn't work out. So when I was graduating, I knew I had some options. Should I do grad school? Should I go on a mission? A lot of my friends were already married. So I was like, this has to be for me, like what I want to do.
Right.
And then I felt really strongly. I was going to the temple a lot back then, just doing baptisms because I lived in Salt Lake. So I'd go to the Salt Lake temple.
Cool.
Just really praying and thinking about, what the next step of my life was. And I had this strong feeling like it's time. Now you're ready to go on a mission. And so put my papers in, was really excited, put on my papers, my mom's from Thailand. I speak fluent Thai.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And
Super
my dad had served in Thailand. My brother had served in Thailand.
Oh my goodness.
I had put, I'm fluent in Spanish. I had lived in Spain. So I'm thinking those are my two options.
Yeah.
And so to my surprise, I get called to the Ukraine Donetsk mission, Russian speaking.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just really caught off guard and really humbled immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately humbled, but also excited.
Goodness. That is, there probably is, like, there's not a more different language and culture that you could have experienced compared to the Thailand culture and, any Hispanic culture.
I couldn't even say, so it's Donetsk, but it was so many consonants. I was like, Donetsk? I had to look it up on a map. Didn't even know where that was or anything like that. Just completely overwhelmed and completely surprised.
Wow. So I love, it's so fun to hear your story because of a lot of the conversations that I've had so far are with, recently returned missionaries have served in the last few years. And the common theme is obviously they wanted to serve God, they wanted to serve a mission, they knew that it would bless them, but a lot of the motivation and the reason as to why they left on a mission was because of, the peer pressure
Yeah,
and the culture that we may experience
definitely.
here in Utah. And not that that maybe wasn't a factor for you, but, being 21, having gone to college, having traveled the world, you had come to like know yourself
Yeah.
probably to a certain degree, much more than a lot of these young kids are going on missions. And so that your motivation is purely just because you want to go serve a mission. You want to go
100%.
experience that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what it was like beginning your mission and how maybe that those few years before helped you be more prepared for
Yeah.
that, if that makes sense.
Well, I think the biggest thing was I got to travel internationally by myself. And that
Yeah.
was a big clue to me that I was prepared for this. And I think just being a student and being older helped me a lot, just be a lot more mature with that. And I just really wanted to serve people. I thought, my heart was broken at the time. And I just thought I need to look outward right now. And I think if I serve, then I feel like Heavenly Father has a plan for me. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what will help me feel better about my whole life shifting in that way.
Yeah.
So I think just moving out on my own, but I just really wanted to help other people. And that was a great way. And like I said before, I was just at a crossroads because a lot of my friends were already married by
Yeah.
that point. And if not, they were going to get married. And a lot of them did get married when I was gone,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of kids now don't really deal with because they're leaving at 18. So
Right.
people are a lot younger. But I think college, just in general, helped
Yeah.
me a lot.
Super cool. A common question that we get from, kids who are on the fence
Yeah.
deciding whether or not to go on a mission, they say, why should I go on a mission when I'm setting aside these 2 years while others are, excelling, and I'm falling behind from their standpoint? What would you tell a young person who's dealing with that concern?
I feel like the mission prepares you for the rest of your life in ways that other things can't. Like you will have the rest of your life to go to college.
Yeah.
You will have the rest of your life to do XYZ. But the things that you learn on your mission are things that you can't learn anywhere else.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I just think it prepared me for a lot of the trials that would come as an adult because now I'm a lot older. I'm 41. And so much of the trials that I have seen, I've been able to go back to the lessons that I learned as a missionary.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest lessons I learned was how, even though I feel alone on my mission, you're far away. And back then our rules were a lot more strict too. So
Right.
2 phone calls a year. And it was a big deal because they had just given the sister missionaries a cell phone. So the elders didn't even have cell phones, just the sisters did. That's how old it was. So communication with friends and family was very, very,
Right.
sporadic and
Yeah.
not very often like it is now. So there's pros and cons about that. So I was I was on my own a lot in that sense. And I had to really rely on Heavenly Father because I couldn't call my sister. I couldn't call my mom.
Yeah.
In the first city that I was in Ukraine, I was put with a Ukrainian companion who didn't know any English.
Oh man.
And I had spent 13 weeks at the MTC attempting to learn Russian. And like we said earlier, it's unlike any language. It's not a Latin-based language. It's
Right.
a Cyrillic alphabet and everything. So
Ugh.
it's just a lot more difficult. And so I would say something back to them or my
Yeah.
companion, and they're like, I don't know what you're trying to say. And I was not used to that because I
Yeah.
thought, I know how to speak other languages, but not this one. So it was really difficult not being able to communicate and just being completely real.
Right.
I had a companion. I had been with her twice throughout my mission, 2 different times, so 6 months total. And we did not get along. She did not like me, and she told me she didn't like me. And we were in this city together, and she didn't know English or she didn't know Russian any better than I did. She was only 6 weeks older in the mission than me.
Okay.
So we couldn't communicate with anyone. We weren't great together.
Yeah.
And we would study in separate rooms because we just, didn't want to be together.
Right.
And I remember sitting on the balcony of my apartment in this city, hours away from anybody I knew, and just praying, just asking Heavenly Father to just please hear me, like, please be with me. I feel so alone in this country, in this city with my companion. And I remember sitting on that balcony. I get emotional just thinking about it and just feeling his love for me. Like, you're not alone. I'm with you. And I look at my life and all the things that have happened. You know, my son had to have brain surgery a couple years ago. We've gone through all these different trials as a family. And I just always remember that I'm not alone and he's with me always. And I go back to that apartment, to that balcony in Mariupol, Ukraine. And I remember that feeling. I've never forgotten it all these years later.
Yeah.
So
thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
That's those are the experiences that you can really draw strength from.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but a lot of the time being on a mission, serving a mission, it's usually those are some of the first times you feel the Spirit so intensely.
Yeah.
I think as a young person, if you're raised in the church, there are times where you can, feel the Spirit and, you're reading the scriptures, going to church and doing the things, but it takes an experience like that to be so desperate and so humble.
Yeah.
And, it's a blessing and a curse to have a native speaker as a trainer, as a first companion, because you can't connect with them. You can't have, you feel so alone.
Right.
I mean, and that's really the bottom line. But almost every single person that I've talked to who is in a similar situation, in hindsight, is like, I'm so grateful for it because it forces you to learn the language, to learn the culture. Tell me about share a few other formative experiences you had on your mission.
One of those being, so I had that one American companion. I think I only had 2 American companions the whole time. There were only 6 sister missionaries, so it was really small.
Oh, wow.
All my other companions were native Russian speakers. Really? And once again, it was really difficult at the beginning, but then it was so incredible. I remember one time I was translating for my mission president's wife. She was American, didn't know any Russian.
Okay.
We were in the middle of a church meeting and I was just translating back and forth for her. And I stopped for a second and I thought, I'm translating in Russian. Like I never could have fathomed that. And I just felt like it was definitely the Spirit helping me. There's no way I could learn this language that quickly. It's not because I'm crazy smart. It's not because I'm crazy talented or anything. It's just a gift that I was given to help spread the gospel.
Right.
And I'm trying to think of other formative. I mean, there's so many. Where do I even begin? I met my husband when I was on my mission.
Way.
That's another part, I guess.
No way.
So in that city, that very first city that I was in, Mariupol, there was 6 of us missionaries.
Okay.
And 2 sisters, 4 elders, and we'd have district meetings. And my husband was there, and he had a really difficult companion also. And I could just sense it. We were just good friends.
Right.
And I could just see who he was. We weren't trying. I was older than all the elders. So I was like, and also I was anti-men. That's why I was there too. But we just really bonded our little group of 6 missionaries there because we were so far away from other cities. And, but just seeing like how hard of a worker he was, how honest he was, all these things, it was, and then I got home and I was like, wait, I think I really like that elder. I didn't even think about that, but he's a really incredible person. I got to see this other side of him. And it was interesting too, because being 21, or I was 22 when I left on my mission, a lot of my guy friends had already come back from their missions. Yeah. So it was interesting seeing what it was like really in the mission field in comparison to like the mission stories you hear and all of that. Other experiences, I'm trying to think.
That's so cool. I didn't even realize that. We should have had a little duo podcast. Or I'll have him come on and tell his side of the story. That's so cool. Along. No, it's all good.
I mean, the people in Ukraine are just so humble, and I get really passionate about it because obviously there's a war currently happening in Ukraine. Right. And 4 years ago, when the war started in February, we're coming up on 4 years, I had reposted an Instagram story that one of my Ukrainian friends had posted right when the bombings and everything happened. And it went viral. And all of a sudden people were wanting to donate. People were wanting to help. And I mean, we ended up raising a few $100,000.
No way.
And once again, not me. not anything I personally did. It was
Right.
just because I was in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And all of our mission friends got together, and one of our mission friends was really, he's like in the finance field, and he helped us create a nonprofit organization so that we could mobilize all this money we had just made. And so we made a nonprofit to help our Ukrainian brothers and sisters and all of our connections. And we were able to help people escape. We were able to help make food for people, clothing, all these things. And it was just because of all of our connections, because we had served there as missionaries. And it wouldn't have happened any other way. I would have had no connection to that beautiful country or to all the people there. And so I look back at my mission, and I never, people always talk about, and maybe it's different now, but back then it was always like, how many people did you baptize? And I never saw one baptism my entire mission. And I think, almost 20 years later, I was actually able to help in a different way the same people that I cared so much about, and I still care so much about, in a different capacity. And that was really powerful. And it was like Heavenly Father knew that all of us were going to be able to help them later.
Right.
But we just didn't know.
Right.
And I thought that was really incredible. It was just powerful to watch.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It's evidence that, your mission doesn't stop when you come home and you take off the tag and get released. There's so many times where, young preparing, like future missionaries, I'll have conversations with them, and I'll share with them the idea that you will go and find the reasons as to why you're going to serve a mission on your mission.
Yeah.
Like there will be moments on your mission where you'll say, wow, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to this person. That's why I have sacrificed these 2 years, 18 months to go do this. But that's such that's such a direct
it was
response
crazy.
and blessing 20 years later.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you wouldn't have served a mission there,
how could I have helped?
How could you have helped? How could have, and you, obviously you being a humble person, you give the credit to God. But I also think you prepared yourself. You were worthy of the Spirit. You were, like you said, in the right place at the right time. And I think that's all God asks of us. Is doing the spiritual work, being worthy of the Spirit, looking for opportunities to serve. Then he can trust us with these opportunities to be his, be his hands, for lack of a better term. What a cool experience. Holy cow. That's so awesome.
It was just so out of my control, and it was so fun when we started our nonprofit, there was like 6 of us, my husband included.
Cool.
And we were all just talking about what we can do with all the money and how we can send it here and there. And I just thought, this is like one of the most powerful experiences, because these are all of our best friends.
Yeah.
My husband and I share some of our best friends together, because we're all there in this country. And going back to the realities of it, it wasn't an easy mission. This was not the kind of mission where I think of my brother in Thailand, where people are so excited to feed you. And even if they don't care about your message, they're happy and friendly.
Right.
That was not our mission. And I love the Ukrainian people. I love them. But they're not going to be fake nice to you.
Yeah.
But once you get to know them, they're just so loving, and they will love you for the rest of their lives,
Yeah.
But surface level, when you're knocking doors, when you're talking to people at the park, people aren't always the friendliest. And so just getting used to rejection was something I got really good at, which I guess has helped me as an actress, just get used to people saying no to me or people not being kind. But because of that, I felt like it made me stronger in my relationships with missionaries there, with the members there, just to really appreciate the kindness of the Ukrainian people.
Yeah. So. Well, and that's another question I was wanting to ask you. If there's a young missionary watching this who just got their call to Ukraine, what is some advice that you would give to them as they prepare?
One of the things that always helped me was when I was sitting on public transport, or we're sitting at a park and we're watching people walk by, is to look at people for the potential, not necessarily for like who they are in this moment. And when you look at people, this is even just like general life lesson. If you look at people for their potential and you love them the way Heavenly Father loves them,
Right.
then there won't be that hurt and there won't be that anger, because you know that everybody has their own time. And so you can do your best and do your part, and then Heavenly Father will do the rest also.
Yeah.
So don't be discouraged if you're in a mission where you're not baptizing a lot or people aren't the friendliest. Just to look at it as, okay, this is my opportunity to grow. And what is Heavenly Father wanting me to learn here? Like, why? What is my why here?
Yeah.
And you just don't know how it's going to affect you and help you in the future. So.
Yeah. Well, and it you don't know how it will, but it will.
Yeah,
You know,
it
that's the
definitely
bottom line.
Yeah, right.
Whether it's on your mission or 20 years later,
Yeah,
or, you
yeah.
know, after your mission. You shared this at the beginning, but there's so on the topic of, you know, what happens if I leave and I fall behind all my peers as they, you know, excel. It's like the lessons you learn on a mission, set aside the spiritual growth and the fortification you experience with your testimony, like the practical things that you learn, how to live alone, how to cook, how to take care of yourself, how to think of others. It prepares you for a career, interacting with difficult people. You know, you have to have difficult companions. You have to learn how to work with them still in a marriage, in family,
100%.
with parenting. How, on that note, how did your mission prepare you for those later steps in life when it came to, you know, marriage and starting a family? In what ways has your mission blessed you?
Just like we were talking about, I had to wake up early. You have to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning to study. And I never woke up later than 6 o'clock. I was so like in my head, I wanted to be perfect when it came to waking up and studying and preparing, because I wanted to have all the tools I could so that I could speak Russian well. So I knew what to talk about, that kind of thing. And to this day, I have 5 kids. I still wake up every single morning before 6 a.m. Like it's just like ingrained. It's like a curse and a blessing, because sometimes I'm like, can I just sleep in for once in my life? But it really helped me with that habit. And I believe that when you wake up early, you can just accomplish a lot more in your day. And just organizing my time. I have 5 kids. I am currently doing grad school right now too.
Oh, no way.
And working.
Wow.
So it's like time is like
Holy
crazy,
cow.
but I really loved those little planners they gave us as missionaries, where you're just blocking out, okay, what do we have time for today? We're teaching this lesson, we're studying at this. Like it really helped me just learn how to organize my life.
Yeah.
And once again, just preparing me for 20 years later when I'm in this chaotic stage of life.
Yeah. I really do think that if you follow the missionary schedule exactly and you learn why the certain activity is there and when, why it's at that time of day, I think you will have a fulfilling and joyful experience as a missionary. And I really think that's the secret. This is if you're watching, please go check out the Missionary Handbook. It's under Missionary Standards for Disciples of Jesus Christ. It gives a sample daily schedule, and this one's it's technically at 6:30. So was it at 6 when you were?
It's been 20 years.
You may have just gone the extra mile.
Maybe I was just crazy, but I'm like, am I remembering this wrong? I am older, so maybe.
No,
either way, it was early.
Right, it's early in the morning, and it says begin the day 6:30 to 10 a.m. And within that time, you need to pray, exercise, shower, eat breakfast, and prepare for the day. Have a 60-minute personal study and plan for 30 minutes. So technically, for those 3.5 hours, you just have to get all those things done.
Yeah.
Right? And one thing that my mission president's wife would always focus on is the idea of consecrating your leisure time. From often we reflect on our missions and it's like we're technically on the clock from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, what determines a fulfilled, joyful missionary is what they're doing from 6 or 6:30 to 9, and then 9 to 10:30 before they go to bed.
Right.
exercising? Are you eating good? Are you taking care of yourself physically and mentally and spiritually? Are you praying? Are you spending time with the Lord on your knees? Are you journaling?
Yeah.
Like those are the things that really set you up for the rest of the day.
100%.
You
Yeah.
know, that's just a random thought. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. But I'd love to hear now if, you know, you have young kids and maybe they've asked you before, Mom, what's like the coolest or craziest mission story you have? You know,
Oh.
I'd love to hear just and if you want to think about it for a sec,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
totally
I
okay.
have plenty. I think I have a brother-in-law who also served in Ukraine. So
Okay.
where I served in Ukraine, it's now considered like parts of Russia because Russia took over all the cities I was in. But he was in Kyiv, so on the western side.
Okay.
And he had a similar story. But one time I moved to a new city called Lugansk, which is 40 minutes away from the Russian border. So really, really close to Russia. And we were the first sisters to be back in this city after a really, really long time. And it was my first time being a senior companion, and my companion was Mongolian.
Nice. Okay.
And so I was trying to figure out this whole city. It's a huge city. It's not a small city.
Right.
And we moved into the elders' apartment because they were just going to all four be together until we found a new apartment. So the sisters were staying in the elders' apartment, which in Ukraine, they are very strict about where you live, who lives where, rules wise. It's their law. And one time I get a phone call and I pick up the phone and it's a police officer. And he says, "Who is this?" And I'm saying, "Oh, this is Sister Chittister."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're not registered at this address. There's elder, can't remember whose name it was, is supposed to be living there. Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm living here currently. And I just moved here." And he's like, "You need to come to the police station right now." And so I called the mission office, which was, I think it's a 6-hour drive. So it's far away from the mission office in Donetsk. And they say, "You need to go to the police station, but you can't take your companion with you because we have her passport in," because they were getting all of her, she'd just come to the country. So she didn't have her passport. "So you need to go to the police station by yourself to take care of this." And I am terrified.
Oh my goodness.
And so we go to the police station and my companion hides in the bushes outside of the police station. And I walk in, there's nobody in this entire police station except one police officer. And he's like, "Come in here, Devushka, girl, come in here." And he sits me down behind the desk and he's like, "Fill out this piece of paper." It was just a blank piece of paper. He's like, "I need you to write everything that I say. My name is Michelle Chittister. I live at this address. I am legally not allowed to be at this address. I am going to be arrested because I'm at this address," you know, just making up, like forcing me to sign and give him my passport, all these things. And I am terrified. Like I have no idea what to do. And he has this like glazed look over his face. He is drunk. This police officer is drunk. And I just know, I'm looking around, I'm like, I need to get out of this building. I cannot be in here. Like this feels just like the spirit so strong. It was like, you got to get out of there. Wow. And so I just said to him, "How about this? How about I just give you all the money that I have in my bank account and you just let me go. And you don't have to worry about me being arrested today." And he was like, "Okay, fine." You know, he's excited for money. And so we walk out of the building. We walk to the bankomat, the ATM.
Yeah.
And I go inside the bank and he's still outside. So I hurry up and I call my mission office and I tell them, "I don't know what's about to happen. I am with this police officer. He says he's going to arrest me. I don't know where my companion is, you know, and so just letting you know, this is what's happening." So I withdraw like $200 or $300, which in Ukrainian money, hryvnia is like a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I walk back out and I hand him the money. And he instantly, like the look on his face leaves. It's like, I personally believe like there was like some bad spirit with him. All of a sudden it was gone. And he takes him and he's just like, "Run, like get out of here, get out of my sight." And so I just start running home and my companion's waiting in the bushes. She finds me and we run to our apartment. We call the mission office. They're like, "You need to escape that city immediately. Like he will come and find you and he will arrest you because you're supposed to be registered in this apartment and you're not." And so we get in a taxi. I think it's 4 hours. It's not 6 hours. It's 4 hours away. Okay. and we drive 4 hours into Donetsk to be with the mission president and everything. And we had to stay there for a couple of weeks until everything kind of settled down in the other city. But then I ended up going back to the city. And we did run into him a couple times, but I don't think he remembered me.
No way.
But it was so scary, almost being arrested. My brother-in-law did get arrested when he was in Kyiv because there's just so much corruption.
Right.
And I just feel like it was really scary, but at the same time, I didn't feel alone. Like I knew that I was being protected. Like it was just so crazy and so wild, but I also at the same time felt protected.
Yeah.
So that's one of my stories.
Wow. That is.
I didn't tell my parents that until I got home. I was like, Mom, don't worry about me. I'm okay.
Those are the stories you set aside for later time.
Yeah, you said that for later. But
wow, that is wild. I don't know how I would have handled that situation. So
it was scary because you're never supposed to be alone.
Right.
And so it was scary to have to be alone. But then I definitely wasn't alone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's the side of the mission that can be scary. Is it going to these new cultures and these new countries? They just do things different than maybe what we've experienced, and what's very normal and casual to us is not okay or is different. It's set up differently. Oh, that's terrifying.
It's really scary. My husband still to this day hates that story whenever I tell that story.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but if you have any remaining stories or cool things that happen, feel free to share that. If not, then we can wrap up. But
yeah, just overall, if I ever had to talk to somebody that was preparing to go on a mission, I would say make sure that you're going for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Because it will be tested many times, but also it's really important to stay close to the Spirit while you're there. And I think that's why I tried really hard to, keep the missionary schedule and those sort of things so that I could be close to the Spirit.
Yeah.
But also be weary of not being so obsessed with the rules also. Not saying that you should break rules,
right.
But not to become overly obsessed where it makes you become a perfectionist. Absolutely. Or you're getting down on yourself because you're not perfectly executing everything. Because I've seen that happen to missionaries too that I was with, where they just worried so much about the numbers that they forgot, how to be human with other people. And I think that, your mission is setting you up for the rest of your life. And it's a really crucial time and a really pivotal time to just be selfish for once with your spirituality. Like this is your time. There will be no other time in your life where you can dedicate 18 months, 24 months solely to yourself, your spirituality, your testimony, and to service. Because, I'm older now and I don't have all the time to be serving people and to be doing those things. So this is an incredible time in your life to put that time aside to grow your testimony, but also to help people without any interruptions.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. A question just came to mind. Maybe we can wrap up with this. And this is probably out of my own curiosity as a new father, with you and your husband having served missions, having lived the lives that you have.
Yeah.
What, how are you teaching the gospel in your home? And how are you, if you have young sons or kids who want to potentially go on missions, what are you and your husband implementing in the home to help them through navigate those decisions?
I think the biggest thing as a parent is your child watches and listens to everything you do. So there's a lot of pressure, good and bad. I'm not really huge on being like the big stickler with, we're not waking up at 6 a.m. and reading scriptures as a family every day, which I know people do, and that's wonderful.
Right.
But I also have seen like the other side of it where it can put a lot of pressure on young adults that maybe aren't sure if they want to go on a mission. I have always been really big on that. Like my parents never forced me to go, put the pressure on me. And so I want to make sure to have that same lack of pressure on my kids where we have our Ukrainian friends come over, we eat Ukrainian food, we do all these things to show them like, look how incredible this experience was without putting that pressure on them. Like you must do this or else we will be upset with you. And so I think the biggest thing is just your example. Like our kids, I am definitely not perfect or anywhere near close to being perfect. My kids will be like, yep, if they were here. But just showing them how I live my life and how, in the little things, how I look for opportunities to serve, how I'm really, really big on showing my kids how not to judge people that are different than us. And I've had bouts in my life where I was more active or more inactive. And that really affected me as a child when people were treating me differently when we were more inactive, our family. But showing them to have compassion for people who are maybe struggling with their testimonies, because that's who they're going to deal with if they do go on missions, right? You're not dealing with the perfect members all the time. It's the people who are kind of struggling, and to just not show any judgment for people who have different lifestyles. Because going back to what I said at the beginning, everybody has potential and everybody is a child of God. And if we look at them from that light, then it changes how we treat them and it changes how we look at them. And so those are the things that I'm really trying to instill in my kids. So when they tell me, oh, this kid at school did this and this, I'm like, yeah, but I wonder what's going on in their home. Or, I have heard that this is going on in their home. And so maybe this is why they're struggling. So just really trying to show them how to show love for people who are different than them and who may be struggling in different areas of their lives is kind of like my biggest thing. And we'll find out someday if if it worked. But that's really what my husband and I are trying to do. So
that's amazing. There's always context to people's situations and their behavior. And you talk about treating everyone with love and acceptance no matter where they come from. And I immediately think of Jesus Christ. We read in the scriptures, who did he minister to? Who were his disciples? Who were the people he reached out to? And 10 out of 10 times, not even 9 out of 10 times, it was the people who weren't perfect. The people in the world's eyes were, not good people, or they'd made major mistakes. And I think we can learn from that, not only in our own discipleship, but in the way that we carry ourselves and interact with others. So thank you. That's great advice for me as a,
so no pressure, just do your best, which I'm sure you're going to do awesome.
No, that's exciting. I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat with me. Is there anything you want to leave? You've said a lot of really great things. If there's anything you want to leave the audience with, feel free to, but
just have fun, and missions are adventures. And I'm just really excited for anybody who's looking at going, and just excited.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
This has been Michelle serving in the, what mission? Exactly?
Ukraine Donetsk mission.
Ukraine Donetsk mission.
Yeah, good job. You said it better than I did when I first heard it.
There we go. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you on the next episode.